Good morning, Humanity Healing family, friends, brothers and sisters around the world, gathering here this morning. Wherever you are, it's morning here. You may be in the middle of the night somewhere or early evening. I welcome you all to Presence of Light. I'm Charlie Riverman Bergeron. For those of you who are here, good morning, Sean. Good morning, Anita. For those of you who may be new to this conversation that I have weekly, it's all about our hearts and our resonance and how we can embrace ourselves in the closest possible way to our most divine self. And so the talks are usually generated by cards that I may pull or something that I've experienced during the week. And then I come on Friday morning and write before the show, jot down my notes and words, and then bring them forth to each of you for all of your own personal integration. So we have Margaret. Good morning, Margaret. Good morning, Joni Fisher, Rachel Jarvis. So I'm seeing people on the sideline, and hopefully that will work today. If not, I'll try to get you on my cell phone. One never knows. This is how I flow with life. So this morning's talk is really was a message based on 3 cards that I pulled last night, angel cards, and they were stuck together, which was interesting. And it's a deck of cards that I've been using for over 20 years. Since I first came back from my near death, and was called by angels because that's all I knew. And it's a deck from Kimberly Maroney called, so I can see it, Angel Blessings. It's really a wonderful journey to learn more about the angels, what they present for us, how we can deepen our relationship with ourselves and them. And so I recommend it to everybody. It's not an advertisement. It's just something, a tool that I use. So Simply Awakening to Grace, there were really just 3 cards stuck together, and they were fire, grace, and awakening. And I put them down. I didn't want to look. I said, I'm going to bed. Maybe tomorrow they'll have another subject to talk on. And I woke up this morning and the answer was, no, those are the 3 aspects that you're going to talk about. So I asked for a name to the show, and it said Simply Awakening, from Awakening to Grace. And I said, okay, kids, here we go. I can do this. So as I put in the upper column there, yeah, okay, I can scroll today, thank you. Okay, so as I put up in the upper column is Simply Awakening to Grace is, in its simplest form, it's awakening is about being asleep. And not asleep in the sense of when we go to bed at night and go to sleep, but in a state of other consciousness, of not being as aware, of being in a form of darkness and confusion, where pain and suffering of everyday life, our normal experiences, become real. And we're feeling them just like we do when we're in the dream state and we have a nightmare. And, you know, it's horrible, it's painful, but then we wake up and we realize, oh, that was just a dream. So many over the years have talked about this as the illusion, as the dream state that we're living in, that we're not fully consciously aware. We're in a dimension that's fogged or clouded. There's a lot of different ways of looking at this aspect. But what's really happening for all of us now, whether we want it intentionally or unintentionally, we are gradually waking up. this waking up process is not easy and it's not comfortable. And what we're doing really is beginning to realize our relationship to the world and how it's not been in alignment with who we truly are. That we are far more than we could ever have imagined that we are. And so in that process is the fact that we go through these dark nights of the soul, basically. And you have a bad one and, oh, thank God I'm going through that. And then it repeats itself and repeats itself and repeats itself. So this process, good morning, Misty Neighbors. Thank you for your wonderful message, hearing me speak. All wake up. Yes, we're all waking up, and that's what it's really about. So the cards, the angel cards that I pulled last night, I deepened into them and I read what Kimberly Maroney had brought forth, and some of those are her. I'll give you some of her messages, but a lot of it was interpreted through me and my guides, and I will give that to you as well. So before we begin that, what I would like to do, if I can find it here, I have, or I did have, if I can find it, here it is. Bring that over and bring you all back up. Okay, so what happened? I read an article from Natalie Glasson, who I can't remember her website, but she has a newsletter that she puts out every week. And this was a message, part of a message from Melchizedek. So what I would like you to do is really take a deep breath and just relax. And this was part of an alignment and an attunement. And I just felt it was a nice place to begin, to deepen and soften ourselves, pull ourselves away from the external world, from the computer screen, from what we're busy doing in our lives, and just come into a place of gentleness within our own energy field. So it's very short. Just like you to take a deep breath and know that when you release it, just breathe in and out gently, knowing that you're in a perfectly safe environment here, that angels and guides are with you and want you to be the best that you can be, not only now, but forevermore. That we're moving into this space and time where people are, some of us are going to wake up or awaken quickly and rapidly, and it's going to be intense, and others are going to take a longer term and a process. And it doesn't matter. There's no better, there's no greater. So just listen to these words, allow them to enter into your heart and bring you to a place of stillness. Take a moment to imagine what it would be like to experience the Creator fully. With every aspect of the Creator you receive and recognize, with each embodiment and expression of the Creator. When you try to imagine expressing the Creator flowing, being embodied and expressed by you fully, your perception will always be limited in comparison to the full experience of the Creator, which is available and possible for you. However, this simple contemplation allows you to open your mind and begin the possibility to feel and embrace the Creator. And in this moment, you are already beginning to experience it. Deepen that feeling. as we come back to the subject matter that I'm going to talk about here, the three angels. The first one is fire. And the angel is Nathaniel. And I had never understood there was an angel of fire. So it was new to me to tap into this relationship with an angel who is about fire. And so Nathaniel is the gift of God. That's what Nathaniel means. I'm going to see if I can see you on the sideline here. Nathaniel's message, or the name of Nathaniel, means gift of God. So fire comes up first within us as a gift of God. And it represents the fire aspect of divinity. And fire, as you all may well know, is transmutation or transformation. Some people don't like the word transmutation, but it has the power of that. But in our awakening, it's basically transforming. It's our transforming. And it will transmute anything that is stubborn enough to keep us from awakening. This is the gift of Nathaniel for us. And it transforms our consciousness from limitedness to divine self. What we experience in everyday life is, on some level, a process of lack, because we're not fully embracing who we are. So we live in this lack and limitedness, and we experience everything through that. And it's not good or bad. I'm not judging it. It's just how we've been living. And we've chosen to do this on certain levels of our beingness, and for reasons which I'm not fully understanding. However, fire, the aspect of fire, is really about the reignition of our heart. Okay? When we think of the heart, think of it as the heat that brings our body. It warms us. It's a fire in and of itself. When we're passionately in love, we feel fire. When we're deeply passionate about something, we're feeling fire. We're feeling the heart flames. And it's intense and it's powerful. And then we calm down and cool down and move away. So the gift of God in fire is really a recommitment to the light, because fire also brings us light. It shines forth from the flames, and it dispels all the shadows and illuminates what is truly our true spiritual energy. How amazing would it be if we could really bring forth our true spiritual energy and work with that every day, and in every case of our relationships to each other, to the plants and animals, the ecostructure of our world. What a difference we would embrace. I mean, it's unfathomable from this place where we are now. We can dream about it and think, oh, all of these wonderful thoughts. But the message of fire is really to trust it. Yeah, we're going to lose some things in this fire of the spirit, this fire of the soul, the fire of the heart. But most of those things are not helping us. They're holding us back and hiding us from ourselves. So let's just take a deep breath and embrace the fire. Inhaling it, exhaling it. And let's call on Nathaniel, the angel Nathaniel, however you may envision Nathaniel, to purify our body, to purify our minds and begin to recognize this gentle flame rising through our spine, much like the Kundalini energy, rising up in our spine and settling here in our hearts. That's the message of Nathaniel for each of us today, is to tap into that fire, that heart flame, and really learn to tend that fire, just as you would your campfire or your fireplace in your home when you want heat. You have to stoke it, and you have to poke it, you have to put a little more wood on it, and you have to keep it burning and not let the coals burn out. This is the message of Nathaniel. That was what that card represented for me, and as I read it, and I read the meanings, which were beautiful in themselves, and reinterpreted them through my guides to bring to you. This is what it was. It was about restoking that fire in our hearts, that passion, that commitment to who we truly are. Amazing, amazing beings. So the second card was, see it? Awakening. And the angel for that card is an angel named Remliel. You may not have heard these angels. I really can't say that I've heard them. I've heard some. It's really not important. What's important is that we remember that they exist. They're here to help us. They're part of our guidance system, our greater spiritual guidance system. If you don't like the word angels, then you envision it any way you want. But they're divine helpers whose total purpose and commitment is to assist us in the process of our evolution as beings that are far greater than who we think we are. Melinda Riley says, is replying to Tina, and Tina says, how do I know I am getting healing? Healing isn't about knowing. Healing is about feeling. To know healing only serves the ego mind. When people ask for healing from me, I tell them it's not what I say and what I do. It's how you embrace what is said and how you hear what is said that creates the healing. Because in truth, we all have the power to heal. And we don't need to seek that far outside of us, but deepen our relationship and our communication within us. And that's the biggest step in healing anybody will ever take. And that's what Remliel is about. It's about this awakening to healing. Because we've placed limitations on healing. And there is no limitation on healing when it comes from the divine presence within us. So awakening, what is that all about? We have all experienced the dark night of the soul, I'm sure. And so for some of us, we've had more than one. And some of them have not been very pleasant at all. I laugh because I look at my own journey. My own journey took me to death. It took me to a motorcycle accident where I was splattered on the street and left. And as my guide said, look down. I looked, and there I was. There was that body laying somewhere on the ground, talking to somebody, trying to explain to somebody who it was and whatever. And I realized in that moment, the real I wasn't that body. The real truth of who I am is far greater than that mere body on the ground. That mere body on the ground had served its purpose. And I was now free from it. That's a whole lesson in near-death experiencers. And I ask you to find some that are really speaking their truth. They're amazing beings because they have witnessed something that is, even the psychologists and psychiatrists can't truly explain. The scientists can't explain it. They want to put it in a little book, put it on a shelf and say, page 33. There's no, it isn't going to happen. Each one of you are far greater. You have power over what we call death, because death does not end your existence. So I say this, for some of you, you may say it's preposterous. Some of you may be facing death right now in deep pain. And I assure you that as you go through this pain and suffering, you will be freed. So this is what the awakening is all about. It's awakening to this amazing, powerful being that we are. No matter how much we've been wounded, no matter how many times we've been abandoned, no matter who hates us or doesn't like us or wants to create more pain and suffering in our lives. And all we really want to do is to feel more fully aligned and alive with who we are in all of creation. So Remliel is our guardian angel, who is called on to guide and watch over us as we experience this deep passing of this deep struggle and crisis, which is in reality an accumulation of many negative experiences of many lifetimes that still remain in our DNA. It's epigenetic. Part of this suffering that we go through in every lifetime is epigenetic. And we've never understood that. We've never fully embraced that the totality of our life is recreative. It doesn't end and begin and end in one lifetime. So we need to remember that awakening is not just about what we are experiencing right now. It has a cumulative aspect, and it's stored within the marrow of our bones. And I say that as metaphor because I'm not scientifically sure, but I know it's stored in the water memory, and it's deep within the water, within the marrow of our bones. And that's my personal vision of that. But there's an old saying or an old term that the shaman used to say, or still says, to become the hollow bone. To truly access the spiritual realms and become fully empowered, we must become the hollow bone. And I feel this is our divine purpose. Not just something from old wisdom keepers of long ago, but very active today. Become the hollow bone. Travel through that narrow marrow passage with Remliel's assistance until all illusions and energetic frequencies are balanced. It's about balancing. It's not about overcoming or denying, or it's about balancing, bringing it back into balance. Bringing things back into balance and respecting each side. The dark, the light, the up, the down. Knowing that without all of that, we cannot be fully present here in this third dimension. So these illusions and energetic frequencies become balanced by, once again, our fiery light. Thank you, Nathaniel. The fire. Use that fire to purge ourselves that fiery light. Doesn't have to be flames, but just the light of the fire. Allow it to flow through your bones, through your cellular structure, and healing will occur automatically. Healing will occur because you will be now tapping into this heart resonance, this powerful force of creation that we truly are. I see I'm running a little late on time, but that's okay. I'll probably go a few minutes over. I didn't expect this to be this long, but I know that in my shifting and changing of life and attitudes, as I release and clear away the debris from the marrow within my bones and my cellular structure, I can only share it. I can only share it to open the gateways for others to maybe reach another rung on the ladder and help them or help push them into their higher self. Because the more of us that become that higher self, the more grace we'll experience in our everyday life. So we need to remember that awakening is not just about what we're experiencing. And we will travel so far as we can allow ourselves to listen and trust, to the point where finally, hopefully, we will arrive in an understanding of awakening that is, I'm going to quote now from a handbook of angels, a crystal clear, intense awareness that penetrates all details of creations. And I'm going to post that in the sideline here because it seems to be working. No, don't want to do that. Yeah, so did it work? I don't know. Okay, well, if it didn't, it didn't. Hang on a minute. Okay, there, I think it went. Okay. At any rate. So this is where we are with the second card, awakening. And the final card was grace. So what is grace? And when do we actually get to meet grace? And that was a question. When do we finally begin to meet grace? And so grace is the angel Anakel. And you can see the sweetness. I'm not good at this. You can see the sweetness of this. It's one being embracing another being with loving kindness. And isn't this what we all want, is to experience loving kindness more in our lives? And so, of course we do. Nobody wants to walk around and be angry and to be frustrated. Yet we continually generate thought forms, patterns, structures, all kinds of inventions that do nothing but generate energy which creates frustration. Pretty dumb, isn't it? In our hearts, we want to experience grace, and in our minds, we create chaos and confusion. let's drop out of the artificial, the AI, the original AI, artificial intelligent group up there, we call our loving mind, or our mind that's, so wisdom. Let's put it on the back burner and drop into our hearts. Because it's here in our hearts that grace is experienced. It's not in the head. It can't be contained because it can't be conceived. The human mind cannot conceive grace other than as a word, on a list, in a sentence, etc. Puts it where it wants. It's just a bit of information tapped away in its hard drive. So sweet grace, the angel Anakel, means grace of God. It's the opened heart which allows God's love to flow freely into it. And this is what we're actually needing to re-enter, is this opening of our hearts to contain grace. It becomes the cup into which our eternal self, in the divine form of thankfulness, can be embodied and poured forth to others without judgment or restriction. That was a message from my guides. I see grace as something, not as something we just receive, but which we are in that of which we are in our most beneficent state of beingness. Just imagine that most beneficent state of beingness has no concept of illusions, time, struggle, has no guilt, no shame, or sense of impossibility. Grace is home to our soul, which many of you know, years ago I was given the word soul, and it was explained to me to share with others that soul, if you break it down with the capital letters, meaning a word, was source of unconditional love. And this is who we are, in truth, in the real reality. We are the source of unconditional love. And this awakening that we're doing is really about opening and bringing forth that unconditional love. As I'm getting the words new wine, we become the chalice, the cup. The grace flows into us, we hold it, we uphold it. And as we bow to each other, we pour that grace forth for others to be filled with and pour forth. So this was what I went through this morning just before this show to bring it to you. I don't plan these things. I'm guided to be here with each of you. And so the final message as I close is, let's begin to simply awaken to grace where denial has not ever existed in any form, where peace is the only energy in motion, soulfully created by the light and love we truly are and have always been. Thank you, Nathaniel, for the fire which creates the flame of transformation. Thank you, Remliel, for watching and assisting us in our awakening. Thank you, Anankel, for this reminder of our true self. And may each of you begin to keep your hearts open and know that you are powerful beyond all images of yourself. I love you. I thank you. I respect you. I am you, and you are me. And together, we are we. May you each have a beautiful week. May your healing begin in so many ways. May you learn to recognize the little healings and build upon those. And I'm going to post that last bit on here so that you can take it away with you, beginning with the source of unconditional love. And I will leave that as my last post here. And thank you. Thank each of you for showing up and being a part of this Presence of Light show. I couldn't do it without you. Thank you. Have a great week, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.